There is a specific kind of silence that does not feel like quiet. It feels like an answer. The phone stops ringing. The Sunday calls get shorter. Then the Sunday calls stop. And you tell yourself she is busy. You tell yourself it's just a season. You tell yourself things between parents and adult children go through phases. And then one day you are sitting at your kitchen table on a Tuesday afternoon, and you realize the last time you heard her voice was 11 weeks ago. And you know, somewhere beneath all the excuses you have been making, you know it is not a phase. It is a verdict. My name is Raymond. I am 68 years old. I have a daughter named Simone. She is 38 now. She has 2 children I have met 4 times. She lives 40 minutes away. I know her address. I have driven past her house. Not to stop, just to see the lights on, just to know she was there. I want to tell you how I got here, because I do not think I am unusual. I think there are more of us than anyone admits. Fathers sitting in quiet houses wondering what happened. Wondering at what point the child they raised became someone who needed distance from them to be okay. I spent a long time being angry about that. Then I spent a long time being honest about it. What I found on the other side of the honesty is what I want to give you today. I grew up in a home with a father who ruled through silence and wait. He was not violent. He was not absent. He was at every dinner, every holiday, every school event I can remember. But when my father was displeased, the entire house felt it. You could not explain it. It was in the air. The way his jaw set. The way the room got smaller. My mother would say, "Your father is tired." And we all understood what that meant, which was, move carefully, be quiet, make no demands. I loved my father. I also spent my entire childhood monitoring him, watching for the weather, measuring the temperature of the room, learning to need nothing from him, so he had nothing to withhold. And I told myself, I promised myself, that I would not be that my children would not have to read me like a warning sign. I genuinely believed I had kept that promise. For decades, I believed I was different. Simone was born when I was 30. She was, from the very first hour, someone I could not fully understand and could not stop watching. There was something in her, a kind of quiet certainty, that I never had. She was still when I was restless. She thought before she spoke. She noticed things. I admired her in the way that people sometimes admire what they cannot be. But admiration, I have learned, is not the same as acceptance. And I had strong ideas about who she should become, not cruel ideas. I want to be clear about that. I thought I was preparing her for a hard world. I thought directness was love. I thought high standards were gifts. I thought pointing out the flaw before the world was a form of protection. When she brought home a grade I thought she could improve, I said so. When she made a choice I disagreed with, I said so. When she dated someone I didn't think was right for her, I said so. And when she married him anyway, and I was proven wrong, when he turned out to be a steady, decent man who loves her in the way she deserves, I did not say so. I do not think I ever said so. There was a dinner. 5 years ago, maybe 6. Simone and Marcus had come with the kids. The oldest was 5, the youngest was just 2. And something happened at that table. Something small, the way things that matter always start small. I made a comment. About her parenting. About the way she was handling something with the younger one. It was not a cruel comment. In my mind, it was not even that significant. She got quiet. The way she used to get quiet as a child when she was deciding whether to cry or to disappear. She chose to disappear. Not that night. Not all at once. But that was the dinner. That was the one I keep coming back to. After that, the calls got shorter. The visits got spaced further apart. The reasons became more frequent. Work, the kids' schedules, it's a long drive. And I kept waiting for it to resolve itself the way I told myself things did. It didn't. About 2 years into the silence, my wife Margaret sat across from me at that same kitchen table and said something I have never been able to unhear. She said, Raymond, your daughter is not avoiding you because she stopped loving you. She is avoiding you because she has never felt safe enough to disappoint you. I told her she was wrong. She waited. I told her Simone was being dramatic. Sensitive. That she had always been too sensitive. Margaret looked at me for a long time, and then she said, Who do you think she learned that from? Not a question, a statement. And I sat with that for a long time before I understood what she meant. Simone had not learned sensitivity from Margaret. She had learned vigilance from me. She had learned what I had learned at 8 years old in a house where the air changed without warning. She had learned to read me, to monitor me, to make herself small enough that I would have nothing to correct. I had promised I would not be my father. I had kept the form of the promise and broken the heart of it. Here is the first thing the silence taught me. The most damaging thing a parent can do is not shout. It is not lose their temper. It is not fail to provide. The most damaging thing is to build a home where love is present, but approval is conditional. Where the child understands, without being told, that your full warmth is available only when they are performing to standard. That is not cruelty. It doesn't look like cruelty. It looks like high expectations. It looks like investment. It looks like a father who cares. But the child does not experience investment. The child experiences audition. Every dinner is a performance review. Every choice they make is waiting for your grade. And after enough years of that, after enough years of bracing for the response before they have even finished the sentence, the kindest thing they can do for themselves is leave the audience. That is what Simone did. She did not stop calling because she stopped loving me. She stopped calling because loving me had cost her too much for too long. Here is the second thing. The silence came for me harder than I expected because I had no idea how much of my identity was tied to being her father, not to knowing her, not to being known by her, to the role. I had been the provider, the authority, the one with the answers and the standards and the structure. I had organized a significant portion of my sense of self around being the kind of father whose children turned out well. And when she stepped back, when the silence came, what I felt underneath the hurt was something closer to erasure. As if without her needing me, I did not fully exist. That is a terrible thing to put on a child. Without ever saying a word, I had made her responsible for my self-worth. And she felt that. Children always feel that. The dependence that comes wrapped in authority is still dependence. She had been carrying me without knowing she was carrying me, and she had finally put me down. I want to speak to the fathers watching this, and the mothers, and anyone who loves someone younger, someone who came from them, and has started to feel the cooling, the distance, the calls that get shorter, the visits that become events on a calendar instead of easy and ordinary. I want to ask you something. When was the last time your child told you something that disappointed you, and you said nothing? When was the last time they made a choice you disagreed with, and you let it pass? When was the last time they sat with you, and you actually felt, that they were at ease? Not performing, Not monitoring. Not waiting to see how you would receive them. Just easy. If you cannot remember, if you have to think hard and the memory is vague, pay attention to that. Because the silence does not announce itself. It arrives one short call at a time. One rearranged holiday at a time. One reason after another until the reasons stop and there is just the quiet. Here is the third thing. The hardest one. You cannot apologize your way back in. I tried. I wrote a letter. I said what I should have said years before. I named what I had done. I was as honest as I knew how to be. Simone received it. She responded. Briefly, carefully, in the way you respond to someone you are not sure you can trust. She said, asterisk, I hear you, Dad. I just need some time. Asterisk. That was 14 months ago. She is still taking the time. And I have had to learn. I am still learning that this is not a wound I can fix. It is a wound I caused. There is a difference. The person who caused it does not get to set the timeline for its healing. My job now is not to pursue. It is not to push. It is not to prove I have changed through words. My job is to become someone she might want to come back to. Not the father she remembers. Someone new. Someone she has not met yet. I am 68 years old. I have done many things in my life that I am proud of. I have worked hard. I have provided. I have shown up in the ways I understood showing up. But I look at 65 years of living, and I can say this with more certainty than almost anything else I know. Being right is the most expensive habit a parent can have. I was right about a lot of things over the years, and I would trade every one of those rightnesses for one ordinary Sunday dinner. For one phone call where she talks about nothing, where she does not think before she speaks, where she is just my daughter and I am just her father, and there is no history sitting between us at the table. I do not know if I will get that back. I hope so, but I am not waiting anymore. I am working on the man I should have been building all along. If you still have time, and if you are watching this, you probably do. Hear me on this. Your children do not need you to be right. They need you to be safe. Safe to disappoint. Safe to disagree with. Safe to come to when their life does not look the way you hoped. Safe to call on a Tuesday about nothing. That is the whole job. Everything else, the lessons, the standards, the wisdom you are so sure they need, all of it means nothing if they have to brace themselves before they dial your number. Be the call they do not have to prepare for. Be the room they can breathe in before the silence comes. Because when it comes, and if you are not careful, it will come, it does not come loudly. It just comes. And then one Tuesday afternoon, sitting at your kitchen table, you will understand. The way I understood. Too late, and not too late. Both at once. If something in this reached you, if there is a call you have been putting off, or a silence you have been explaining away, I hope you will make it today. Not tomorrow. Today. There are more things I want to say. Come back, and I will keep saying them while I have time. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel.